All right, so I know a couple of you were here the other night, so I'm going to do my very best to get through this poem tonight. This was written 2 years ago in memory of Evelyn Spodnik. She was a Wentworth elementary school teacher who was lit on fire by the man she was living with, and according to the New Hampshire Attorney General, she subsequently died of her injuries. This is called Engulfed. And what could have driven him into the garage? Assuming, that is, that the gas can wasn't waiting on the bare wood floor next to the faded flowered sofa, bats of stuffing pushing through split seams, in the dim gray living room where thready drifts of cat hair and house dust spun in the corners, where her textbooks tottered and pencils lay scattered and math papers needed to be graded, where one set of curtains hung twisting, the two end hooks missing, the room where maybe his slow simmering haze first set to raging. No, the gas can would have been in the garage, near his tool belt, or maybe next to the weed whacker he was always too tired to use, or under the rusting snowblower. And first of all, he had to get to it. Maybe pushing his way through the kitchen, maybe past a white farmer's sink, piled deep with last night's soaking dishes, maybe down a dark hallway stacked with twine-tied piles of newspaper, and maybe he even had to push out through some side door first, pounding over a crushed stone path, then clutching the cool metal knob in the thick of his cracked fingers and stained palm, and then opening that door, because maybe the garage is an entirely separate building. And you wonder, was it sunny that morning? And what could have driven him as he picked up that gas can? Was it like a sitcom soundtrack, but without the laugh track, replaying some loop of bickering? Who was supposed to pay the electric bill, or had it been paid at all, or whose turn to take out the recycling? Or was it just the rise and fall, the echo and bounce, the day in, day out sound of her voice, maybe asking for more tea or past the lifestyle section? And did she say, please, that rake and grate of pathetic pleading, or the slight sound of her sighs, maybe that hiss of disappointment or depression or derision? Or was she just tired? Or was it just the fact of her breathing? Or maybe it was simply the very sight of her sitting with her face in some book, the very sight of her in those terry cloth Walmart shorts faded to pink from too many washings, the sight of her fleshy thighs spreading, her sagging knees, her crepey skinned shins rippled with varicose veins. And maybe he was thinking how long it had been since those legs, rippled or not, were wrapped around his waist or his neck. And maybe he saw her face glaze, saw her eyes shift just slightly away again as he spoke to her, and maybe he wanted to know what in the fuck she was looking at off in that fucking distance. You wonder, what could he have been feeling as he carried that gas can back into the house? Was he burning, his stomach churning, thinking of last night's dinner, unmade when he got home tired in his stained coveralls? Or, okay, maybe made, but unsatisfactory, say store-brand hot dogs on just gone to stale buns instead of chicken on the grill, or maybe even a steak. Or was there just a deep, long chill inside, burrowed down in the bones of his teeth and the cold-held hinge of his jaw? And was he just dying for heat? You picture his hard fist, the one not gripped around the gas can handle, hanging stiff by his side, squeezed shut. And what made him begin to splash that gas onto her? Because maybe he first had to set the can down, unscrew the black metal cap, pick the can back up, maybe heaving, maybe it was full and heavy, maybe he heard it, smelled it, felt it sloshing, maybe he was sweating, his armpits soaked and stinking, maybe he was holding her down. And you wonder how he lit the match. And was the pack already in his pocket? Were his hands shaking, his hot breath panting? Maybe he had to sit the can down again and then find the match pack, digging down around the lint, finding it, pulling it out, opening it up, and then striking that one match. Or maybe it took two. And was he pinning her ribcage between his thighs, or maybe crushing her ribs with his knees? And could he feel her beneath him pulsing? Was the sweet scent of sulfur intoxicating? Or maybe he just used a Bic lighter. Maybe the last sound she heard was just a cheap plastic click. And you wonder what it was that finally made him do it. And you wonder what it is that separates him from you. Thank you.